10:44 a.m. Claude responded, "You're trying to sleep on the ground. No tent, no walls, no screens, no spray. The fire near you keeps the predators away, but it doesn't keep away the things that whine in your ear at 3 o'clock in the morning, that land on your skin, that have killed more humans across history than every war combined. For 2 million years, every single one of your ancestors slept like this, with the deadliest animal on the planet flying inches from their face, and somehow they survived long enough for you to be here. The question isn't whether they suffered, they did. The question is what they figured out, because the archaeological record reveals something most people don't know about ancient humans and mosquitoes. They had a system. It started with a bed in a cave, it ended with a change inside their own blood, and in between they did things to make it through the night that we are only now beginning to understand. Researchers excavating caves in South Africa have found the oldest beds in the world. They are 77,000 years old, stacked in layers 15 deep, going back as far as the entire history of behaviorally modern humans, and they are not just grass. The people who built them picked one specific tree out of all the trees around the shelter, ground its leaves, and laid them across the floor. Those leaves contain a chemical called cryptofolione that paralyzes mosquito larvae and works better than DEET. Our ancestors figured this out 50,000 years before they figured out the wheel. The first time a mosquito ever preferred human blood to monkey blood was about 2 million years ago. The place was Sundaland, a now submerged continent that once connected Malaysia, Borneo, and Sumatra. Our ancestors there were Homo erectus, small, upright, brand new on the evolutionary stage. The mosquitoes had been biting orangutans and gibbons in the canopy for 40 million years. Then something changed. A team of geneticists analyzed the DNA of 38 modern mosquito species. They traced the exact moment when one group, the Anopheles lucus virus, switched their feeding preference to early humans. The result came out in scientific reports earlier this year. From that point onward, every human child for the next 2 million years would be born into the same world, a world where the smallest animal on Earth wanted their blood. The first real answer to that problem shows up about 77,000 years ago. The site is called Sibudu, a rock shelter in what is now eastern South Africa. A team led by an archaeologist at the University of the Witwatersrand has been excavating there for over 2 decades. They found something nobody expected: actual sleeping mats preserved in layers going back 40,000 years. The mats were built the same way every time. The Sibudu people walked down to the river that ran below their cave. They gathered armfuls of sedges and rushes. They laid them on the floor in a rectangle 3 meters wide and a centimeter thick. Then they did something specific. On top of the grass, they placed a thin sheet of crushed leaves from one particular tree, the river wild quince. Botanists have identified those leaves chemically. They contain compounds that paralyze insect larvae and kill adult mosquitoes. The smell is sharp, almost medicinal even today. The Sibudu people had figured out something that wouldn't be rediscovered for 50,000 years. The bed solved one half of the problem. The other half was sleep itself. You can build the perfect sleeping surface, but if you sleep alone in the dark, you're still vulnerable. Anthropologists have studied the Hadza people in northern Tanzania, one of the last hunter-gatherer groups on Earth. They wired up 33 of them with sleep-tracking wristbands for 20 straight days. The results were strange. Out of 13,000 minutes of darkness, the entire group was unconscious at the same time for only 18 minutes. The rest of the night, at least 8 people were always awake. Nobody had assigned this. There was no schedule. The grandmother went to bed early and woke up early. The teenagers stayed by the fire and slept late. The bodies just did it. Researchers call this the Sentinel hypothesis. They believe our ancestors developed it about 1.8 million years ago. That date is almost exactly when the mosquitoes started preferring our blood. Then there was the fire. Every group that slept together had a fire near them. We have direct chemical evidence. Researchers have looked at the teeth of ancient humans at 2 sites, Chisholm Cave in Israel and El Cedron Cave in Spain. At both places, the layers of plaque on the teeth still hold microscopic traces of campfire smoke. The smoke at Kesem was breathed by humans 400,000 years ago. Our ancestors slept inside it every single night of their lives, and it wasn't just for warmth. Modern hunter-gatherers across the world still use fire and smoke specifically to keep insects away. The archaeological record at Sibudu shows the same thing. Starting about 73,000 years ago, the people there began burning their entire bed every few weeks. They lit the mat on fire, let it burn to ash on the cave floor, swept it aside, and laid down a fresh bed. The smoke killed the fleas, it killed the lice, it kept the mosquitoes back. But the strangest defense didn't come from anything they built. It came from inside their own bodies. About 50,000 years ago, somewhere in West Africa, a single letter in the human genetic code changed. One amino acid in the beta-globin gene, glutamic acid, switched to valine. The change made certain red blood cells slightly the wrong shape. People who inherited one copy didn't notice anything different about themselves. They walked, they ate, they slept, they had children. But when the malaria parasite, which mosquitoes carry, tried to grow inside their oddly shaped cells, it couldn't finish. The parasite died. The person lived. In 1954, a doctor working in East Africa noticed that children with this small genetic change were about 90% less likely to die from severe malaria. We call it the sickle cell trait. In some West African villages today, almost 1 in 3 people still carries it. It is the only documented case in human history of a population changing its own blood to survive a mosquito. We tend to think of all of this as the past, as something that happened to people who lived in caves, but the defenses they built are still inside you. A study published in 2017 tracked the sleep patterns of modern hunter-gatherers and compared them to office workers in industrialized cities. The hunter-gatherers slept in groups in unsealed huts surrounded by the same insects their ancestors fought. They had lower rates of insomnia than any modern population the researchers studied. The reason was simple. The hunter-gatherers were not sleeping alone. There were always other people near them in the dark. When you can't sleep through the whine of a single mosquito in your bedroom tonight, the part of your brain that snaps awake is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was selected to do 2 million years ago. The problem is that it was never designed to do it alone. Your ancestors survived the deadliest animal on the planet not because they were stronger or different from you. They slept on a bed of leaves that paralyzed insects. They slept in a circle of trusted people. They kept a fire between them and the night. You have inherited the same body they had. The instructions are still in there. The defense isn't gone. It's in every fire that still keeps the dark away, in every group of people who choose to sleep near each other, in every child who calls out for someone in the night,